Hi, this is Alan, and I want to speak to you about something that's been a growing concern of mine over the last several years, and that is the state of discipleship in the church. D.L. Moody said years ago that the Bible was given not for our information, but for our transformation. So I have to ask you this question. Are you seeing the lives of your people being transformed? I have a degree in Christian education. And much of Christian education goes back to the industrial age, more than 100 years ago, where people learn lessons and memorize verses and, read passages. And don't get me wrong, God gave us a book and God gave us a brain, and that's not a coincidence. But here's the thing, our academic approach to making disciples has led to having very knowledgeable people, but we're not making disciples. Studies show us that the behavior of people in the church is almost identical to the behavior of people in the world. There's not a lot of transformation that's taking place. I believe it's time for a new approach. I think we need to look at the whole person and not just the head. Pete Scazzero, the author of Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, among another number of other books, said this. He said, Jesus might be in our hearts, but Grandpa is in our bones. And so I think we need to look at the whole person when it comes to discipleship. We need to look at, yes, our spiritual part and our mental part, but what about our emotions? What about our physical being? What about our finances, our relationships, our outlook, our plans, our point of view? How do these things inform us about where we need to grow and how well we are growing? Are we loving the Lord with all of our heart, soul, mind, and in some versions, strength? Are we loving our neighbors as ourselves? For most people, their spirituality is this church component that's fulfilled in an hour on Sunday and maybe another hour in a group. And I champion that, because if they're in a group, they're the exception and not the rule. But are we doing the things in our groups? Are we doing the things in our churches that truly promote discipleship and spiritual growth? I want to invite you to join me and a number of experts on a 12-month journey called the Disciple Makers Coaching Group. We're going to gather in groups of 5 churches, and we're going to meet together to talk about how well discipleship is going in our church, what's working, what's not working. And then we're going to bring in some experts, people like Mike Breen of 3DM Ministries, people like Pete Scazzero, D. Eastman of the Daniel Plan, Gary Thomas, author of many books including Sacred Marriage, Rick Rousseau to talk about the neighboring life, and many, many other people, so that we come to understand ourselves, we come to understand our people, and we come to understand the layer upon layer of our lives that need to be discipled. If in the end, when God calls us to heaven, we were to stand before a giant Bible Jeopardy board and be required to answer all of the questions in order to enter in, I think our current methods of discipleship would be preparing us for that. But there is no Bible Jeopardy in heaven. So how are we going to help our people grow? Won't you join me?